Tonight, new records and alarming new concerns about the pandemic. After countless Thanksgiving gatherings, new fears that it will get even worse before Christmas. With the most Americans now hospitalized since it all began, more medical centers overwhelmed, and getting tested becomes a bigger challenge. In a growing number of cities, it's looking like the early days of the pandemic. Black Friday shattering records with a whole new way of shopping and shipping, how to get those gifts to your loved ones for free and on time. Iran's top nuclear scientist killed. Was Israel behind the brazen attack on the man considered the driving force behind Iran's nuclear weapons program? The major league defeat for President Trump and the possible signs of acceptance from him that he lost the election, now even referring to a Biden administration. Our NBC News investigation, new record COVID outbreaks in nursing homes. What's fueling the surge? Are they more prepared now than in the spring? And will Santa and all the presents make it this year? Dr. Fauci weighs in for all those kids, big and small, who are wondering.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening. As public health officials brace for the echo of COVID infections they worry will follow a boom in holiday travel, the nation's hospitals could hardly be more vulnerable. Tonight, hospitalizations from the current wave of COVID cases are setting new records. ICUs finding whatever spaces they can to handle the spillover of very sick patients. And now, as millions get ready to travel home from Thanksgiving, hospitals fear what could be about to come at them. We start our reporting with Miguel Almaguer.
Finding no relief during the holiday, hospitalizations on Thanksgiving hit a record high for the 17th straight day, with more states turning to field hospitals. In Wisconsin, some medical centers are rolling out beds into lobbies and parking garages. By next week, nearly a quarter of all hospitals could face a staffing shortage.
A lot of people ask what they can do for us healthcare workers during this time, and I think that's the most important thing that people can do is just show your respect by wearing your mask.
Even before a record number of Americans traveled this week, cities like Phoenix, Miami, and Baltimore were seeing a resurgence in cases. In LA County, daily infections have quadrupled while deaths have tripled. COVID cases nationwide are up 10%, but the CDC says the real infection rate could be 8 times higher.
As the nation urgently awaits a new vaccine, Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles could soon receive some of the first doses, perhaps from Pfizer, under tight security.
Hundreds of thousands of doses could be stored in these state-of-the-art ultra-cold freezers, but distribution may become a problem.
The biggest challenge is that the vaccines are becoming available right at the time that we're experiencing another surge. So the nurses who commonly would be the ones to administer the vaccine are needed at the bedside to care for COVID patients as well as non-COVID patients.
Okay, right here.
The desperate need for nurses is why Iris Maida came back to work after retiring in January.
She wanted to train other frontline workers to help in this crisis.
But her daughter says she lost her life trying to save others.
To see this amazing, vivacious woman so willing to put her life on the line to help others so that they could then help others. To see her languishing there, it was such a tragedy.
A tragedy that is far from over. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
This is Gabe Gutierrez. From Los Angeles to Chicago to Dallas, the COVID testing lines this week have been growing.
I mean, we were seeing about maybe 150, 200 people a day. Now we're seeing upwards and topping and over 500 right now.
114 Americans are testing positive every minute. In New York City, a pre-Thanksgiving rush gave way to a steady stream today.
I think it's important to get tested, even if you aren't showing symptoms.
Still, the country's largest nursing union says a survey of 15,000 nurses shows 2/3 have never been tested. This despite major sports leagues conducting thousands of COVID tests a week for their athletes.
It is absolutely outrageous that national sports stars are getting routinely tested when nurses aren't. Nurses are your line of defense. They're your only line of defense.
At Texas A&M University, researchers are working on a COVID-19 breathalyzer. In less than a minute, results could potentially be sent to someone's smartphone, though it still would require emergency use authorization from the FDA. 9 months into the pandemic, some states are still reporting a testing backlog as labs are overwhelmed. In North Dakota, results are taking 5 to 7 days.
It makes it very difficult because people are wondering if they should stay at home or if they are okay to go to work.
But is getting tested even enough? A question being asked by families across the country as the holiday season is just beginning.
Testing should be reserved for what you want to test for. If you are sick, if you're worried that you could expose others, but it only gives you that snapshot in that one moment in time. So unfortunately, a negative test does not give you the all clear.
And Gabe joins us now from New York, where the governor says he's considering a winter plan that will likely include more testing in schools.
Yeah, Lester, it's not exactly clear how that will work at this point. The mayor here faced backlash for closing schools, but the governor now says increased testing inside classrooms will be crucial to reopening them this winter. Lester?
All right, Gabe, thanks very much. Dr. John Torres joins us now to clear up some misconceptions about testing, especially in light of all the travel and family gatherings. Dr. John, how much should people be relying on these tests?
Lester, we all need to realize that these tests are essentially just that. They're a snapshot in time. So if you're negative today, that doesn't mean you won't be positive tomorrow. For example, you could be exposed today, test negative in 5 days. Then on day 8, you hang out with friends and family thinking you're fine, only to develop symptoms and test positive on day 10. So you expose all those others without knowing you're contagious. And that's why it's important to realize that testing is just one of the steps, along with quarantining, avoiding crowds, wearing a mask, and social distancing that can help make sure you don't have the virus or spread it to others. Lester?
Yeah, an important reality check. All right, Dr. John, thanks. And on Sunday, be sure to watch and Meet the Press. Dr. Anthony Fauci will discuss the pandemic with Chuck Todd. Now to Black Friday, shattering online shopping records today. Tonight, what you can do for free shipping and deep discounts. Jolene Kent has details.
It may have looked like an unusually slow start to Black Friday, but online, Americans are shopping and shattering records.
I could sit in front of my machine and hit 5 stores at the same time.
On Thanksgiving Day alone, online shopping soared more than 20% to a record $5.1 billion, giving Black Friday a dramatic new look, now on pace to be the biggest ever online.
Usually on Black Friday, these big TVs would be scooped up by in-person shoppers. This year, this Best Buy says a lot of these are already spoken for by online shoppers.
For the millions getting orders shipped, there's added pressure to click buy as soon as possible, thanks to backlogged orders.
Retailers' distribution centers are experiencing a significant increase in workload, coupled with some of the restrictions that COVID's in place around social distancing and use of PPE. Waiting until last minute this year is just going to result in disappointment.
That's why Amazon has hired nearly 500,000 new workers this year alone.
To compete with Amazon, Best Buy and many other retailers are transforming their stores into mini fulfillment centers. Come this way with me. They take your online order and then they fulfill it from locations in your neighborhood.
If you choose to ship, experts say December 11th is expected to be the last day for free or cheaper shipping in time for Christmas. After that, you'll pay more to get your stuff on time.
To avoid shipping risks entirely, one thing you can do is buy online and then pick up at the store. But this holiday season, you're going to want to be patient with that, too. It's a lot of people doing the same thing. Lester?
Jolene Kent tonight. Thank you. Overseas, Iran is vowing revenge and blaming Israel tonight after its top nuclear scientist was killed in a brazen attack. Bill Neely has late details for us.
A bullet-ridden car, a drive-by assassination near Tehran, says Iran, of a man American and Israeli intelligence accuse of being the architect of Iran's nuclear program. Iranian state media tonight naming Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, vowing revenge. Iran's foreign minister blaming Israel for what he called an act of state terror.
Iran's secret nuclear files.
Israel's leader singled out Fakhrizadeh 2 years ago.
Remember that name, Fakhrizadeh.
Israel convinced of his key role.
He was the brain
and the organizational commander of the secret part of the Iranian nuclear project. He was in charge when the goal is to have a nuclear weapon.
For years, many nuclear scientists have been killed in Iran. Israel suspected. President Trump today retweeting news of the killing. The CIA and Israel not commenting. President Trump has confronted Iran in the past. President-elect Biden favors talks to restart the Iran nuclear deal. If confirmed, this attack could be Israel's preemptive strike. Its proxy war with Iran growing tonight. Earlier this year, America killed Iran's top Revolutionary Guard commander. Tonight, Iran's army chief blamed America and Israel for today's killing. Tensions and the stakes are escalating. Lester?
All right, Bill Neely, thanks. Another legal setback tonight for President Trump's claims of voter fraud. A federal appeals court rejecting his challenge in Pennsylvania. Pete Williams is here now. Pete, what did the court say?
It's a unanimous ruling, Lester, by a panel of 3 appeals court judges, all Republican appointees, one appointed by President Trump. The court said the campaign failed to offer any solid evidence that Pennsylvania election officials changed the rules to favor Biden. The ruling said calling an election unfair does not make it so. Charges require specific allegations and then proof. We have neither here, it said. It concluded by saying voters, not lawyers, choose the president. The campaign will undoubtedly appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Lester.
All right, Pete Williams in Washington, thank you. Despite the mounting legal defeats, President Trump still refuses to concede, but tonight the clearest signs yet he is moving toward the inevitable. Kelly O'Donnell at the White House.
From his Virginia golf property, President Trump headed to the seclusion of Camp David today. His election transition becoming defiant acceptance.
Just so you, certainly I will. Certainly I will. And you know that.
Last night, making his first public commitment to move out of the White House after a Biden victory is finalized.
Because time isn't on our side.
Reality setting in to a point.
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud.
As the president played golf today, those unproven election claims suffered another court defeat. Still, he is more outwardly recognizing Biden will succeed him.
The Biden administration said, oh, that's okay, we'll get rid of America first. No, we don't want to get rid of America first. Don't let Joe Biden take credit for the vaccines. Don't let him take credit for the vaccines, because the vaccines were me.
Today, outside the White House, workers build the inaugural parade stand for President-elect Joe Biden, who made no comment today. Whether President Trump attends, still a question.
I mean, I know the answer. I'll be honest, I know the answer, but I just don't want to say it yet.
Today, President Trump urged his own supporters to drop plans for a boycott of Georgia's runoff races. He'll campaign there in Georgia next week to help 2 Republican senators trying to keep their seats and party control. Lester?
Kelly O'Donnell, thank you. In Southern California, power has been cut to 16,000 utility customers to prevent high winds from sparking new and potentially deadly wildfires. The Santa Ana winds combined with extremely dry conditions, making it dangerous for millions. Now to the mystery after a nationwide spree of destruction aimed at statues of historical figures like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Tonight, who might have done it and why? Blaine Alexander reports.
In Spokane, Washington, it was a statue of President Lincoln splashed with red paint. In Portland, a cemetery dedicated to veterans of America's 19th century wars tagged with graffiti. A toppled George Washington statue in Minneapolis. And in Chicago, this statue at McKinley Park.
Looks like somebody put cables around it to try to pull the statue down.
All historic monuments, and during this Thanksgiving weekend, all targeted by vandals. On many, a similar message, anti-colonialism graffiti, no more genocide, and the words land back, an apparent reference to a campaign focused on returning American land to indigenous peoples. So far in Portland, 3 arrests for defacing a grocery store, all of it reminiscent of similar backlash against Confederate statues in recent years.
The message that people are trying to deliver is that they want to see a change in the system of white supremacy that is characterized by these public monuments and memorials that speak to a very painful past.
Across the country, police are still searching for those responsible. Blaine Alexander, NBC News.
In just 60 seconds, are nursing homes better prepared now than at the start of the pandemic? Our investigation coming up next. Now to our NBC News investigation, finding a record number of new COVID outbreaks at America's nursing homes, with community spread fueling another surge. Here's Kate Snow.
Families visiting loved ones at Jewish Senior Services in Bridgeport, Connecticut have to meet in a tent. Last spring, when COVID first hit, CEO Andrew Banoff says they were much less prepared. 22 residents died.
I cried myself to sleep at night, recognizing that we didn't have the tools to care for people that we are here to serve and care for. So it was very difficult.
What were you lacking then?
Most importantly, it was knowledge.
Now there are guidelines. They've stockpiled PPE. Staff and residents are tested weekly. But COVID is raging back. They lost 2 residents last Friday.
So in many ways, it's exactly the same. We still have the fear. We still have the uncertainty. We still don't have a vaccine.
With more than 20 staff infected now, nurses who are well are covering.
I see the people who live here more hours a day than I do my family at home. They are our family also. And it's hard.
Nursing homes across the country are still reporting shortages. A review of federal data by NBC News shows 1 in 10 facilities said they did not have a week's supply of N95 masks. Nearly a third of all nursing homes said they had to wait 3 to 7 days to receive COVID-19 test results.
We still lack rapid turnaround testing in most U.S. nursing homes. That needs to change.
More than 1,300 nursing homes across the country had 3 or more COVID cases, the highest number ever reported in a single week. Midwestern states are particularly hard hit. In Iowa alone, there are 3 or more cases in 56 facilities.
We are in the middle of it here at Friendship Haven.
2 hours from Des Moines, in the small city of Fort Dodge, CEO Julie Thorson is angry and frustrated people are not wearing masks. Community spread, fueling more cases than they've ever seen.
I actually have people say, well, if your employees wouldn't bring it in, we're not the villains. We're not the ones that, aren't doing what we're supposed to do. The community needs to step up now.
It's why she and her staff keep posting pleas.
So from us to you,
to protect the most vulnerable. Kate Snow, NBC News, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Just ahead, nothing stops Santa. Dr. Fauci's message to kids about St. Nick next. Finally, good news for all the kids out there. Dr. Fauci says Santa can't get or spread COVID. As Cynthia McFadden reports, all he'll be bringing is joy.
How are you, Santa? Hey, Santa, you're still coming, right? Santa.
Which got us to thinking. 'Twas a month before Christmas, well, minus 2 days. Would COVID this year drive Christmas away? Would Santa stay put at the North Pole this year? Would presents get stuck there? And how about the deer? But the nation's top doctor had good news for us all. Santa and reindeer would not have to stall. According to Fauci, Santa's immune. Santa is coming. And I don't mean on Zoom. It's been a tough year, the doctor then said, but canceling Christmas, there's no need to dread. Unlike the bad virus that spreads through the air, the spirit of Christmas will always be there. In the eyes of your parents and big sisters, too, in the work of the people who show up to do the things that need doing, no matter the cost. Without them, this year would surely be lost. And it may be a bit different than it's been in the past. And yes, it's important to keep wearing that mask. But be patient, says Fauci, and be of good cheer. Christmas is coming. We need it this year.
It's Santa! We're waiting for Santa to come!
Aren't we all?
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Cynthia McFadden, NBC News.
Some things we can always count on. That's Nightly News for this Friday. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night. Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.